These will enable growing numbers of elderly and disabled people to live at home and will direct more resources and assistance to the relatives and friends who help look after them. It was a doctor who summarised our health reforms best. May I just finish this? And then I have two customers over here and a third one there. It was a doctor who summarised our health reforms best. He said, the white paper proposals are going to lead to better quality and more cost-effective medicine, better decision-making locally, and give a considerable degree of power to the patient and their general practitioner. One moment.
Order.
I give way to one of the two honourable members there, and then I give way to the right honourable gentleman over there. I think that one who was on his feet longer.
Mr. Bruce Grocott.
I'm grateful to the Prime Minister. Will she now give the House her latest estimate of when she will be so satisfied with her 10 years management of the National Health Service that she will start to use it herself?
Mr. Speaker, if there were, as the honourable gentleman knows, if there were an accident or disaster, all of us have to use it. That, as he knows, was shown full well in what happened. In the meantime, may I point out that there are some 5 million people who not only pay all their dues to the National Health Service, but also pay for their own treatment. And that relieves pressure on the health service, which enables other people to get their operations much more quickly. And those people should not be denigrated, they should be thanked. Now I give way to the right honourable
Jack Ashley.
I'm most grateful. The Prime Minister mentioned community care and her interest in this is very well known and isn't a new one. She's been concerned for 10 years or so. But in that case, why is it that thousands of mentally ill people have ended up walking the streets, or in prisons, or in cemeteries? Is that not a shabby reflection on her government?
Mr. Speaker, the new bill, I hope, will address itself. I believe will address itself to that. I believe will address
Order.
The policy, as he knows, has been to get as many mentally handicapped people out into the community as possible. I think sometimes the proper provision has not always been made for the in the community for them, before they've gone out into the community. And one of the purposes of the bill is to address that, to see that no one shall be discharged from a mental hospital until it is certain that there are proper community care services for them. And I'm sure that the right honourable gentleman will be very much in favour of that. Mr. Speaker, I have given away, I'm afraid some people are making their speeches in between gaps in mine, and I would like to get on, if I may. Choice will also be extended to the broadcasting bill, whose main purpose is to reform commercial television. There will be new local television stations using microwave or cable. There will be a new Channel 5, which will cover most of the country. The new franchises for existing Channel 3 and the new Channel 5 will be awarded by competitive tender, but only those companies whose programme proposals pass a quality test will be able to bid. The bill will also give legal backing to the Broadcasting Standards Council, which will safeguard decency and keep the violence that is unacceptable off our screens. Together, these reforms will mean much more choice and higher standards. British television will remain among the best in the world. There will also be a court and legal services bill, which I was going to go into, but I think perhaps if I move on rather more quickly, it'll be a very interesting bill, and bill which I believe will help clients to have the advocate of their choice, more often, and a bill which will hasten the conveyancing process. The government's programme will also enlarge personal liberty through further reform of trade union law. The employment bill will give a right of redress to a person denied a job because he doesn't want to belong to a union. It will also make secondary action unlawful. Hitherto the law has been uncertain on this point, and it will deal with wildcat strikes by requiring unions either to repudiate them or to put them to a proper secret ballot. Doubtless this will be strongly opposed by the party opposite, but I believe it will be widely welcomed by the British people, as will be the rest of our programme. Now, may I turn to the single market in the European community? Mr. Speaker, the gracious speech pledges us to achieve a real common market in Europe by the end of 1992. There are many important areas which remain to be tackled, opening up protected markets, in particular for telecommunications, air transport, road haulage and financial services. We're prepared to have ours open and do in many cases, but they haven't yet got them open in Europe. Reducing subsidies and other obstacles to fair competition. And you do expect to have fair competition in a common market, not unfair competition through different subsidies. This has always been one of Britain's priorities, and we're working with the Commission to achieve it. Indeed, they have the crucial role in ensuring that all member states play by the same rules and implement their obligations. And when it comes to implementing single market directives, I have already given the record. We lead the field in Europe. We have implemented a bigger proportion than any other country. Yes.
I'm very grateful to the Prime Minister for giving way. She's told us about the aspects of the single market that she approves of, but of course there is another aspect, of course, and that is the adoption of the social charter, which complements the single market. Will she tell the House what parts of the social charter she actually rejects?
Mr. Speaker, the parts that we are firmly in favour of are those parts which will lead to the creation of new jobs and will not upset competition and competitive costs. Those parts we reject are those parts which will add great burdens to industry, will reduce our competitiveness, will see that someone outside the European community gets the orders and someone outside the European community gets the jobs. May I advise him to read the speech of Sir Leon Britton, the Granada lecture. He'll tell you all the reasons why it's wrong. Now, ability to compete. I was just coming on to the point. Ability to compete will determine our economic success, and that's one reason why we object to the present draft of the Social Charter. As I've just indicated, would lead to the export of jobs to other more competitive countries, and also it would infringe a principle with a terrible jargon name called subsidiarity, which really means that the community should not set out to do those things which nation-states can best do for themselves. Now, it's still possible such was for our approach to succeed if others are willing. The gracious speech reaffirms Britain's commitment to progressive realisation of economic and monetary union. We strongly support the first phase, which is due to start in July next year, which is based on freeing up financial markets and services and abolishing exchange controls, which we have already done. For the debate in this House on the 2nd of November, I wasn't quite certain whether the right honourable gentleman had read it in detail, but it left no one in any doubt that Parliament will not accept stages 2 and 3 of the Delors report. They would remove from Parliament's control powers which are central to its very existence, the crucial questions of economic and budgetary policy. He, almost alone on his side, seems willing to have that removed. That was not the impression which I got from reading the debate very carefully. I would rather get on, if I may.
Order.